Well, welcome. We're live on YouTube. You might be watching live, you might be watching the replay. Interact, even if it's on the replay. I love hearing from you. I want this to be an engaging and supportive community where we can share our ideas, our thoughts, and our questions. But today, as you can probably see by the title, I'm talking about Dolores Cannon's group past life regression. And maybe you can let me know in the chat, even if you're on the replay, if you've had one of these sessions, either a QHHT session perhaps, or even you've participated in doing one of Dolores Cannon's group regressions. It's a phenomenal subject, and I want to dive deep into it today. I want to explore with you all of the benefits that you can get from having a regression. You know, one of the main reasons, and I was sharing a clip on Instagram yesterday of why people want to go into a past life. And obviously, you know, being inquisitive is one major reason people tend to want to explore a past life. But, you know, another one, and this is according to Dolores Cannon, we can experience and unlock profound healings by discover who we are in the past, a past life. But it's not just a past life. You might go into an event in this life that has importance and relevance to where you are in your life right now. Dolores always said that an individual's higher self would guide them to the most appropriate time and place for them to visit in this life. And this is what I have always found as well when I've conducted these many personal one-on-one sessions as well as the group hypnosis sessions. But let's look at some of the benefits. You might have, maybe let me know in the chat if you've experienced one of these regressions, whether you haven't experienced one of these regressions, but nonetheless, we're going to be looking at the potential benefits. And specifically, we're going to be talking today about group past life regression, not one-on-one QHHT. That is a different thing that Dolores developed. And actually, when you look at the QHHT sessions, you generally go way deeper in the what she defined as the sambulistic state of trance in the one-on-one sessions. That is why they needed to be done in person. You really need that care of that facilitator. But why do we have group regression? Well, affordability. Not everyone can afford to take the 4+ hours out of their day and travel potentially to see a practitioner that may not be in their area. And also the cost. You know, it's a lot of time for the practitioner to hold space and give 4 to 5 to 6 hours for an individual. So what the group, and this was developed by Dolores, offers individuals is a chance to experience it at a profoundly, you know, accessible level. The other thing is that I want to note, something that's so powerful, and I know people are going to understand this that are watching this today, is collective energy. We know that when we get together and we set an intention, and I always do this before every group regression, I set intention that collectively when we come together, we have collective energy. We create an atmosphere of healing. And this really fosters, I find, one's ability to tap into the group energy to experience healing for themselves. A lot of people that go into wanting to experience for the first time past life regression have a lot of hesitancy. Some fear comes up, the unknown. They don't know what to expect. Having the support of a group, I have found, really does help one's experience. Another great benefit from past life regression is getting an understanding of, you know, human history, human culture, spirituality, learning about being more empathetic towards different cultures and worldview. I think this is one of the phenomenal, perhaps even underrated discoveries that you find from past life regression. And I've explored many of my past lives, even future lives. I've spoken about that in the regression I'm running. Just in over a week's time, we are actually going to be visiting a future life. And I find this incredibly fascinating, particularly because at the moment there are a lot of people that tend to hold a pessimistic view of humanity's trajectory into the future. And I find that these sessions are incredibly comforting for those people that perhaps have a lot of doubts about where we're moving. The other great thing that past life regression offers us when we do it as a group is validation and confirmation. When we share our experiences, they can often provide us validation and confirmation of our personal discoveries that we find, and it also reinforces significance of each individual's insights that are gained during the session. And we can learn so much from each other, from the experience of having a group together and coming together and going through their challenges, and people in the group sharing about what their challenges may be in life, and just having that environment and a sense of community can be incredibly beneficial to do. And I know a lot of us, particularly in our spiritual journey, I was one of these people. I was incredibly isolated and felt alone. And by having people that are like-minded coming together and sharing this in a pretty intimate session and in an intimate way is incredibly validating. I know there's some people joining live now, and I'm just going to take a moment to look at my screen. I'm going to look down a little bit to see if anyone has any questions, because I want to answer your questions. And even, as I said earlier, if you are joining on the replay, please continue to ask questions. I'll be there to answer them. But I'd love to hear from you. Can we have I need an appointment. I'll get back to you after I finish the live, and we'll talk about specifically if you want a QHHT session, if you want to be a part of this group regression on the 22nd of April. If you want to be a part of that, I'll confirm that with you in the chat. Hello, Dr. Muhammad. Welcome to the live. Engage with me. I love to have a chat with you. I don't like just jumping on these lives and talking the whole time. I love to engage. So I'm looking at the chat. We got people joining live, and obviously most people do watch the replay just because they don't get the notification straight away. But the area of past life regression is, I always say this to people, it's an incredible tool in your toolkit along your spiritual journey. We have access in this day and age, and all of the different avenues of healing that we've got. There's so many, too many for me to even go into. But this is one incredible tool that Dolores Cannon actually developed over 45 years of refinement, of research, to perfect not only QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique, but also the group past life regression. An element of that is meeting your guides, getting a message from them, and then another element or section of the group regression is going into a future life. And this is incredibly fascinating for individuals. It can unlock healing and enormous growth, I have found from my work, for those that participate in this. So I'm really excited to be putting another one of these on, and I hope you can join me for it. They're really special. They're really special sessions, and I get testimonies of people all the time, just how profound these can be. And let me read you one, because I've got one from Shelley, and she said when she went and her whole life began to change because she unlocked the healing that she needed, something in a past life that was carrying over into this life. And when she connected with that information from her higher self, she was able to release this pattern that had been long held, even back in a different incarnation. And it was the catalyst for enormous change. And she sent me a message to follow me up and give me a testimony of this, just to say how profound it can be. So I know this works. You know, this is why I personally have invested in sharing as much as I do about what Dolores Cannon spent so many years putting together and researching and refining. And so practitioners of hers like myself and many around the world are able to continue her work, pick up the mantle where she kind of left off, and continue to see the profound healings, continue to facilitate these awesome group sessions, individual QHHT sessions. They can only be done in person, but you know, if someone is in your area that you want to do a one-on-one with, reach out to me and I'm sure I can get you in touch with someone in your area. But I want to answer more questions. We've got Dr. What city are these regressions done? Great question. So I work, you can probably tell I've got an Australian accent. I work here in Australia. I'm based in Australia, and I work between Melbourne and Sydney. Now, obviously not all of you are going to be in Australia. This group regression is an online group regression, so it can be practiced online, unlike QHHT. So I've organized this to be on the 22nd of April. It's 5 p.m. Los Angeles time. That is 8 p.m. New York time, and it's the following day on the 23rd at 10 a.m. Sydney time. Now, there are three major cities that I've given you of the different time zones. If you're confused as to how those time zones align with yours, let me know in the chat, even if you're watching the replay, and I can provide you that incredible information. But I want to leave, before I finish the live today, I want to leave you with a bit of a story about, you know, how I found this regression to be so life-changing for me. You know, it started my journey. I was continuing a long spiritual awakening of about 16 years, or it was about 14 years at the time. And I'd found the work of Dolores Cannon through someone that had recommended her books. And I went to Audible and I went to search Dolores Cannon, found numerous books. And it got my attention because I thought, here's someone that is very well published. There's got to be something to this information. And so the first book that I downloaded on Audible was The Custodians, and I began to learn all of these fascinating things. It led down a path where I eventually had my own regression therapy session, or QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique. I found a practitioner in Melbourne where I reside, and it took me a while to get in to see that practitioner. Often practitioners have a significant wait to see clients. So I waited a couple of months, and you know, when my higher self came through in this relaxed state of delta, which is induced by the practitioner, and obviously you participate in allowing that to occur, some profound information came through for me personally. Now, at the time, I was skeptical, like many are, because it kind of blew my mind as to the magnitude of the information that was coming through. But you know what? It's about, you know, it's years later. Almost everything that came through from my higher self has happened and manifested in my life. One of the things was that I would be sharing videos and reaching people around the world. I'm doing that now. I'm doing that right now as I'm talking to you. But you know what? At the time, I was a pretty shy person. And the thought of doing anything like that terrified me. So obviously there had to be a process that I had to walk through, from integrating the information that I got from having a session to being here now talking about it with you. There was a process. often people have the same experience. They get this profound information. It might be about their current life. It might be about a future life. It might be even about a past life. And then there is what I call the integration process. It's kind of sitting back for a while, listening to the recording, because someone is always provided with a recording, and then integrating that into their experience. Now, that can be a process. For me, it took 12 months before I saw any movement on the information. It started a trajectory of, okay, I'm going to jump on social media. I'm going to start to share posts. And when I did so, I'd not get a lot of response. I didn't have a very, wide, social network thing. But I stayed consistent, and I kept at it. And I kept aligned to this vision that I had been given through this hypnosis session. And all of who I am today, all of the work that I do, this YouTube channel, which has grown really quickly since I've started to really post on it, has all been the result of the QHHT session that I had. So this is how profound. This is just my example. I'll share this with you as well just before I close. A woman came to see me, and she was given a diagnosis of 1 month to live. She had advanced ovarian cancer. Doctors had given her up and said, there's no chance. The tumours are too big, too widespread. There's nothing we can do. We don't even recommend any further therapy. Just, get your affairs in order. She came and had a session with me, and we did some really remarkable deep healing, as is often done during these sessions. Her higher self came through during the communication part of the hypnosis, or the part in QHHT which we call the healing component, and said that it was not her time to go and that she had much work to do. But we needed to deal with some habitual patterns. We needed to release some stuff. We needed to work on some stuff in this delta state, in this relaxed state. Often this profound work is done in this relaxed state, this delta state, and that is why hypnosis, even from a medical point of view now, from the psychiatrists, can see its effectiveness, because we're working with the unconditioned mind, this different aspect of who we are. It's been about 14 months now, and I have regular contact with her. She's doing really, really well. When she's comfortable enough to come on and share with me, I'm going to love having her on, speaking from her individual perspective about her healing journey. What I've learned is that there's nothing impossible. That barrier was broken a long time in my consciousness. And almost every single day in my work, I get an email, or I get a comment, or I get a message of just how profound, when one takes action, when one integrates, healing can be in an individual's journey. I'd love to see you on the 22nd. You can see the link on my website, paulwilliams.com. The exact email address is pwilliamsofficial.com. It's the #1 link on there. I'm also going to post the link when I finish this live in there for you to click on, and you can visit and register for this group regression. I'd love for you to join with me for this. I'm going to leave it small. The last one I had was a little bit too large. We had just people the space they need to really go deep. So I think for me anyway, in doing these groups, I like to keep them rather intimate. And so I'm going to cap it at a certain level. We're not quite there yet, but if you're feeling that this is resonating, if you're available on the 22nd, which is in the United States, it's the 23rd, the morning of the 23rd of April here in Australia at 10 a.m. Once again, you can reach out if you're having any questions around the timing of that, but I'd love to see you there. Share this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you don't. That really helps get this message out. I always say this before I leave any broadcast: the best is yet to come. I believe it wholeheartedly. Make it your mantra, your affirmation. I'll see you in the next live.